We touched on this a moment ago. An issue that has undoubtedly become one of public safety in our country has also become a political lightning rod. Democrats want to expand gun safety restrictions. Most Republicans want rules left alone, with some politicians claiming security is the answer and that the left is trying to take away Second Amendment rights. As we've said, there has been some movement, especially in Washington. But keep in mind, this is a midterm election year, and while that shouldn't matter, it does in a big way. Our roundtable of journalists is here to discuss. Please welcome back Brian Ellison, host contributor with KCUR, KMBC9 political reporter Michael Mahoney. Brian, we know that there is a back and forth in Congress right now, but again, elections are around the corner. How are members of our congressional delegation reacting to this?
Well, predictably enough, Cody, they're mostly voting along party lines. In the legislation you've mentioned, Democratic representatives Emanuel Cleaver, Sharice Davids supported the legislation. All of the local Republican representatives opposed it. Worth noting is that Sam Graves from the Northland, Republican congressman, said that he voted against the legislation because he thought it would be unconstitutional, but he said he would be introducing legislation to support funding for school security as well as mental health care.
I know politicians have to be walking a tightrope very carefully as we get closer to elections, too.
Yeah, one of the interesting things in the Senate race, gentlemen, is the fact that Senate Republican Eric Greitens, who you would think would be in the Let's Protect the Second Amendment camp here, and is, but with respect to the Second Amendment Preservation Act, which is part of the gun discussion here, he's not happy with that because he says that is actually going to cost local police departments money because they won't be able to participate in federal joint training, maybe buy equipment, that sort of thing. The rest of it is very predictable in terms of where the Senate campaign candidates on the Republican side are on this. They're very leery of any sort of restrictions on gun control. On the Democratic side, the leading candidates, Trudy Busch Valentine and Lucas Kunce, are also calling for things like red flag laws, raising the minimum age to purchase a AK-style weapon to 21. On top of that, there is a new poll out from the Trafalgar Group on this that shows Greitens is continuing to lead in the Senate race. Eric Schmitt second, Vicky Hartzler third, all bunched in the high teens, early 20s. 16% of the Republican electorate in this primary still undecided.
Well, and so probably there's another poll out that might say something about why the party candidates are splitting the way they are. It's a new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll. It says that the widest margin ever since they've been taking this poll, 59% of respondents said they favor controlling gun violence over protecting gun rights, 59% to 35%. That's interesting, but what's even more interesting to me is the difference in partisan responses. 92% of Democrats said they favor controlling gun violence. 70% of Republicans say they want to protect gun rights. And I think that explains the difference in the Missouri Senate race. Why are those candidates sort of shying away from favoring even what some would consider very modest restrictions on gun rights? They're trying to get those core Republican voters, the ones who are going to turn out that first week of August.
Right, and you want to make the biggest splash, too, because we heard Eric Schmitt say that basically that this is Democrats trying to grab Second Amendment rights to try to rile up the base, too.
Real quick, when this gets over into the Senate, the bill that the House passed, keep your eye on Missouri Senator Roy Blunt. Number one, he's in the leadership. Number two, for years, Blunt has been talking about one of the things that needs to get addressed in this is the mental health component. It has been something he has talked about since Sandy Hook. Keep your eye on Blunt and see to the degree that he can be part of some sort of force that addresses the mental health issue of this.
He has run in his last election.
Yeah.
He won't be running again. Maybe that'll change the outcome.
We even saw Kansas Senator Roger Marshall last week get involved in a bill that boasts school security, because that's a big Republican talking point here, trying to use some unused COVID funds. Do you think Republicans will try to maybe make a change without making the big change?
Well, I think that's the key. Is the electorate, the majority of the electorate, supports some gun legislation, so they have to think about November at least in the back of their minds. In the meantime, though, I think they're going to try to change the subject and avoid talking about guns as much as they can. You've already seen that. Eric Schmitt rolling out a new raft of lawsuits against school districts this week and other things. I think we're going to see more of that.
And the one thing they won't be talking about, at least the Republicans, are the January 6th committee hearings from last week.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, for sure. We're going to leave it there this week. Brian Ellison, Michael Mahoney, thank you so much.